Testing, 1, 2. Test, test. And we're live. Welcome, fellow Mythrunians, to another live stream. Kind of on the back foot here because don't normally do this on Wednesday night. But my schedule's been a little weird lately. We haven't done these for a couple weeks. And I wanted to start getting back into it. I'm going to try to do one tonight and maybe one again Friday and Saturday. And whenever we get this release out, then I'll loosen up again. But let's go ahead and thank the patrons. You guys rock. Looks like we lost a couple this month, but that's okay. I understand. It happens. I appreciate everything you guys do. I really do. Thanks. This has been a crazy couple weeks for me. Yeah, I'd planned to try to have a live stream last week, but I was just so deep into party prep that yeah, I was like perpetually exhausted and still had 500 things to do. We had well, in the midst of all that, a week ago, like this past Saturday, a week ago, my dog did finally pass away. So in the middle of all the graduation and grad party, getting the house ready, carpets professionally cleaned and so on, good times all around. I hope you all had a fine, productive couple weeks. Here's kind of where we left off. I think I did a little teeny bit of work after we were done, just cleaning things up. These are like the major stuff we have to get done, and then there was like a whole bunch of little bugs and stuff we've got to work on. And I don't know. I still would like to get the warped space and stuff, but I really want to get a release out this weekend because the 22nd, I think, is the... Like back in 2012, the last Mythruna one, the first Mythruna, the last public release, I think, was on the 22nd of June, 2012. Oh, by the way, reminder, up in the upper left corner is the link where you can download the January release and where the June release will be when it's done, finally. That's the link up there with the password, and that's where you can also join the Discord. Even if you don't like Discord normally, give it a try. It's a good group of people. We're not very active. I mean, it's not like super busy, but if you chat, people will be there to chat. And they're all fellow Mythruna fans. So let's figure out how we want to dive in today. Yeah, like this past couple weeks been crazy. Like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. So Friday night I was trying to put together a slideshow of like my kids on my other computer, my main computer that I do email, and you guys can see me. I keep forgetting I can look up at the camera and say hi, guys. You know, the one I do email, bill paying. I used to do my day job development on that computer and so on and so forth, and it decided to drop a hard drive, and then it kept crashing the video production software that I was using to make the slideshow, and so I tried to clean some things up and reboot, and it wouldn't boot because it couldn't find a bootable operating system. So, and then I couldn't deal with it because I had the party to plan for, and then finally got to it on Sunday, and the drive was there. The good drive was there. The bad drive is dead. And that's where all my music was, so I'm thinking of having to pay somebody to recover that because my backups were not viable, as it turns out. They're also a couple months out of date, or like a year out of date. Anyway, it's just been one of those weeks, but it's all over, and now the only social thing I've got going on is that my younger child, who has just graduated from high school, is doing a summer theater program, so... live streams might be earlier because those rehearsals tend to run like 5 to 9. And of course, now I'm on the camera again, my nose itches. So hey, Rom Cram. So those run 5 to 9. So we may do, if I want to do a 2-hour live stream, I might do like 6:30 to 8:30 or something. Or just maybe an hour and a half, 7 to 8:30. And maybe we'll do them more often or something. I don't know. But my schedule is freed up considerably over the summer because I don't have to get up at 7 a.m. every day. I unfortunately don't have to walk my dog 3 times a day because she's not around anymore. But she'll always be in the game. Right? We've always got her in the game. All right, so Clean out the legacy stuff. That's boring. I can do that on my own. It's just deleting classes. Proper choppable blocks. But I think before we do that, maybe we will do partial chopping. And what I mean by that is the chopping we have now is neat, but not maybe as impressive as it could be. But in previous live streams, we've done some of the groundwork to make it more impressive, so we might as well try to integrate that. And so I'll do that before I do the fallback, because the fallback will look better if the partial chopped blocks are available, if you get my drift. So if any of you ever do a live stream where you've got your camera, broadcasting you to the world, even if there's only a few of you on right now, anybody can stumble across this and watch it. You let me know if your nose itches more than normal when you do that. Okay, so let's, because I don't know what it is. But the other thing is, my office has been running like, 85 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is kind of hot, and which could have something to do with why my computer hard drives are dying, by the way. Anyway, so I've got fans running and stuff in here to kind of cool it down. Trying to, so I'm looking forward to some good luck lately. Okay, so we've got this going, but you see how every single one is like a square block. And what we want to do is have, see, that's not supposed to do that. I think what happens is, let me check this. I think what happens is we chop, and then the first time we move, the flag's not getting reset. So, somehow. So like when it's like right now I can run into it as many times as I want and it's not going to chop any of that stuff, right? But if block, oops, uh-oh. Yeah. I hope you guys are still streaming because the game just locked up. You see there it goes. I'm running like 61 degrees, which is really hot for this computer. At any rate, what I think happens is it gets latched into that chop mode, and then when I run into it, it allows it to break open again. Okay, so excuse me. It could just be something weird happened, and anyway. I hope you guys are still on the stream. Let me see. YouTube seems to still be streaming, so we're good there. All right. So what I want, anyway, basically not square blocks. I want like all the different shapes of blocks here. We've got the support for that. I just need to kind of hook it up. I don't know how complicated that's going to be, but eventually when, like, if I had all these things chopped out, and then this decides it's going to fall back into a block shape, it's going to pick the closest block it can, which would probably be a half block in this case, but if I just chopped out a wedge, it would turn into a wedge. And that will look better and make more sense if we aren't fully doing these like blocks. If we had some smooth ones, it'll make a little more sense anyway. Alright, so so if I swing out here and I don't hit anything, and then I run into the thing. Nope, I don't know. Anyway, got a lot of stuff to sort through, so let's get started. Hopefully you guys are still here and YouTube didn't kick you off because it's saying that I'm not actually streaming anymore. Stream lagged a bit. Yeah, it's just like my whole computer locked up for a second. I'm glad you guys are still around though. Alright, so where to get started? Yeah, at some point I had to reboot this whole computer. Oh, but that was before. I think that was before the last stream. So bear with me while I remember how to do all this stuff. So to be in the destructible object system, so we chop the object. Yeah, so I left notes for myself. By the way, this is a great idea for any of you. Just leave little notes for yourself. There's an old Code Complete, old Microsoft Press book, like from like the late 80s or early 90s or something. One of the things they talked about was writing your comments first and then going and filling in the code. And while I don't always do that, because at some point, like I just think in code, like the code is the comment at that point, and, but it's still not a bad idea to go and outline your work in comments first, because then if you come back later, you can figure out where you left off, but also help keep your thoughts organized if you tend to be scattered. So calculate the signature of the subblock. Subblock equals quarter block of the 4x4 block. Okay, so, all right. Felt like I needed to sneeze there for a second. And I had a prototype where I was doing this, so I ought to be able to look at that. Swap out the subblock. New one. Recalculate the block. Store the updated component. So that part I didn't need to do. Calculate the signature of the subblock. Yeah, so right now I'm just getting rid of the cell. New value equals 0. This is what I need to figure out, the new value based on location hit and best match. And so, yeah, in here is where we would figure out what our partial value should be based on, where we are in the cell, where we hit that block. And that is something I can look into the block editor tool that I hacked some. So it did at one point. My system did crash, and I had to reload everything because this is Mapper. Normally, I keep all this stuff closed. And so this is where I will load blocked. Blocked 2. Close that. Source main Java what was it? It was the mini chop tool. Excuse me. Yeah, it's kicking up a lot of dust in here. Ceiling fans are great if you use them often enough not to collect dust, I guess. So I see main, and I think the main method of the application, but this is the main click, and so that's where we shape signature. Okay, so I think what we want to do is, I'm just gonna put a little space in here so that it's red and easier to find. So we want to convert the existing cell into a little 4x4x4 block object, and then we want to chop a piece of it out based on the location. Excuse me. Which is, again, a quarter of the thing, a quarter of a quarter. Yeah, I forget you guys can actually see my facial expressions, so I might as well make them. So I'm remembering how to do all this stuff. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to. I've got a vent that's pointing right at my face. I think I'm gonna have to move that. All right. Oh yeah, I don't even have to make the block object. I can just we'll need colliders. And so from that I can get the shape signature. Do I have the signature stuff? What's the boy, you stay away from code for a little bit, you get really rusty. Yep, physics collision. Okay. Collision, yep. Okay, so we can get the signature based on existing. Do we have colliders? No. Is there someone who can give us the colliders, or do we need to make them again? Okay. Oh, destructible object system already has it. Oh, it uses it for the shape index. Okay. So it just needs to keep them. Okay, now it's got colliders, which means it can calculate the signature. Sure. And then we need to calculate. Let me just keep this for a second. Find our location within the sig block. A quarter of a quarter. So basically, if like the decimal part of our cell do we not already have that? We have the cell. Wait, okay, so we get the relative location and we calculate subcell by multiplying by 4. Yeah, that's right, because we were 0 to 1, and so by multiplying by 4, that puts us in like regular, kind of a regular block space, 0 to 3, and so then, that, we get the floor of that, And yeah, if we're still outside of, so at this point, I'm going to leave a little note for myself. Cell is the subcell within the by 4 by 4 chopped block. Okay, and so we need to go again and we can find the decimal part of that and multiply it by 4. So right. So vec3d equals cell d. Whoops. vec3d subcell d. Let's equals the cell d subtract cell. Okay, so that gets us the decimal part. And then we'll multiply that by 4. Make multilocal. Okay. And so then this code, we already multiplied it by 4 by 4, so I think we're good. We don't need to do that. And I believe we've already taken normal into account. Huh. Maybe not. We only did that if we were on the border. Well, is unset smart enough to deal with out of bounds? Get toggle bit. Index doesn't care, so we need to clamp it ourselves. So that's the subcell ID, or subcell D, so it's the float version. Then we want to subtract local normal.x times 0. Or normal.mult 0.5. Okay, so whatever surface we were clicked on, this was working before I started the stream. I moved it around, drew some stuff. Okay, so we've got the real block, and we figured out that we've chopped maybe into this one, right? And then this one's divided into 4. And we figured out we maybe hit here, but we want to because the surface normal, we want to back up a little bit to get inside of the block. And so that's why we basically multiply the normal by, so it's a half normal, and then we subtract. So we move inside a little bit. And then from there, XYZ should just be the int version, so vec3d sub equals dot floor. Okay, so that should give us which part of the signature we need to unset, and that would be, why do we clone it? Why do we clone it? Maybe we wanted to, anyway, it doesn't hurt to do it. Shape index, find similar. Okay. Well, I hope this works, because it's going to be a pain to debug if it doesn't. So we clone the signature. Not sure why clone. We unset cell dot x y z. Oh man, this is so much smoother to type than the. Okay, block type. That was the real block type, right? Yep. Alrighty. We should be able to put this up here and get rid of this, so. Existing. Alright, so we have a block type. We want to find similar. Based on that block type, find the similar one to this signature. And then do I do any... Oh, well, first of all, I need to do some bounds checking. Yeah, and I just set it. I think that vec3d or vec3i, vec3d, vec3i is what we are actually. An integer, I think, does it support min-max? Min-local, yep. I am a smart person. Okay, so before we unset that, clamp the range, cell, max local, never below 0, min local, never above 3, 0 to 3. New type index. And then new value should just equal that. I don't think we have to do anything else with it, right? Should just be the new block type. Yep. And we can do a little alright. Let's see how badly it goes. Uh-oh. Okay. Incompatible. Oh. Let me make sure there's nothing running that doesn't have to run. So who's taking bets on whether this is going to just not do anything, or do something catastrophic, or do something that just looks really strange? Ba-ba-bum, bum. Ba-ba-bum, bum. These guys have reverted already? Alright, let's see what happens. Oh! I mean, it's working. The problem is, like, it's tough to debug whether we're hitting in the right place. Probably we want to take the size of the hit into account and like whack out a bunch of them at a time. And of course, from this angle, these are not using that new chop shader. So that the textures look smeared, but they wouldn't from this direction, for example. Oh, that texture's full on backwards, so it looks better from this side, right? But it's doing what it's supposed to for the most part, right? Yeah, look at that. That's a nice chop right there. Pretty cool. I cannot believe this works as well the first time. Wow. Guys. All right. Wow, that timed out really quickly. Do I have it set really oh, wow, it's super quick. Or no, they were already objects. That's what it was. I forgot they blend right in now. Yes, they were already objects. They just don't remember that they've been chopped. It's because this is a runtime setting. Doink, 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 doink. We get some weirdness here. Like we get nice chops from some directions, but this one is always seems to always prefer angles in this direction. Like see when I'm chopping here, let me pick the pickaxe. We might be able to get a little closer. See, like, it's never chopping out like in these kind of wedges, only in those kind of wedges. So there's probably a precedence in how, like, the order of the search, but without some like debug shapes to figure out where it's thinking I'm hitting. It's I actually think that the because from the side, man, it looks so good. Like, okay, that did it. So, like, from the side, look, it's like doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Oh man, that's so awesome. Doink, 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 doink. Check it out. Okay. Um, but I kind of feel like oh, I must accidentally hit the fire again. Um, Let me add that to the list. So I kind of think that maybe the prototype in the block editor was doing this too. In which case, it's something I can ignore for now because it's something I can fix in the algorithm. But before I get too much further, let me add. What did I just notice that I wanted to add? Shoot. It was something that I've known about for a long time. Dang. And I wanted to write it down to make sure I didn't forget about it. Oh, yes. Filter out unchoppable blocks like fire, leaves, grass. They don't make sense to chop. And I mean like the wavy grass, not the grass blocks. All right. So that part's good. And so now what we want to do is when we've got this 4x4 block and we've already like chopped this out of it and we've chopped this and maybe we've chopped this out and this is still here and maybe this is like a partial block, whatever, then we want to, based on which of these blocks are filled and which are empty, we want to calculate what its signature would be so that when it falls back to a regular block, this one might turn into a wedge, for example, because that's the closest match to, the blocks that are there. So that if you waited 5 minutes and came back, that little carved block would have fallen back to a wedge instead of back to a full block like it's doing now. And so we want to calculate the signature of the subblock. Quarter block of a 4x4x4 block object. So this is what I just did up here. And then this is what I'm trying to do now. The whole block signature from the set subcells. So the tracker cells, we should be able to make a signature. Is it just shape signature bits? Yeah. And do I already have a utility for building one from a block, from a cell array? Probably not. Yeah, so real quickly, I'm going to confirm something. That blockhead 2 has, I'm going to confirm that it's got the same problem that we just discovered. Of course, it doesn't have to deal with swinging objects and things. I can click on exact spots. So that does change it a little. Part of the reason I don't want to get too deep into this, for this release anyway, is because I kind of want to get it into folks' hands, because there's going to be plenty of usability things that I already know about, and I think if I go boink, boink, boink. Oh, you know what? We've got to pick something that's got a lot of shapes. All? Does it have all? It does. I was a smart boy. Okay, so yeah, okay, so this is like all, okay. So now if we go for our mini little chopper, or mini chopper, I think this one's going to prefer, yeah, so even if I hit it here, oh no, boink. Okay, so let's try here. Yeah, so this is what it is, right? That's fine. If I hit there, that makes sense. If I hit here, it could have gone the other way too, right? But I hit exactly this corner, and it chose that one. So by default, it's going to tend to orient one way or along one axis, right? Rather than, you know, curving in this way, which it could have done. You know, it basically was ambiguous. It could have done either way. I think what's going to have to happen is that the swing direction is going to have to be taken into account. You know, in game, we're not just removing this spot. We know the axe was swung in this direction, and so perhaps, well, and it'll end up removing more sub-blocks than just one in the end, because there'll be some level of penetration based on the type of this material, based on the shape of the thing you're swinging at it. You know, a baseball bat's not going to penetrate as much as a metal axe would. And so these will all come into play. And so knowing that it's also a problem here, well, quote unquote problem, it's a known sort of algorithmic deficiency. I can ignore that for now because the game's working, and in principle, if I can find the right signatures, in principle, all of the mechanics are working. Anyway, what I was saying before is I don't want to get too deep into the details because there's going to be 100 things to work out when I get it into your guys' hands. Maybe there are some things I don't like that you guys really like about it. It's all kind of like kludgy at the moment, but you know, we'll build in some debug tools, you know, over the summer. We'll work out sort of what everyone thinks is happening versus what's actually happening, and so on. But I want to get it into everybody's hands to play with, because the other thing is I want to try it out client server, and I want some of you guys to try it out client server, because unlike clicking blocks where, you know, I can simulate it locally first, this is very hard to simulate locally, so it's always a server round trip, and that could be that could make it just not ever feel good, and so I would have to solve that problem before I fix anything else. Anyway, regardless, so this is kind of what we want to do. This is, yeah, so this is taking a particular block and figuring out what its shape signature would be. But we basically want to go through, we want to make a new signature, new sig. We want to go through all of the existing blocks in our little tracker cells, and we'll calculate the side masks after. No, that's fine. So int type equals mask utils get type tracker cells get cell ijk lmnop. Okay, so if type not equal to 0, yeah, that'll be enough for now. If type not equal to 0, new sig set ijk. So we're going to turn that bit on for that signature. and then so new sig type equals the block type. We're going to new sig, and we'll log that too. The log info new sig type. Okay, and then we are going to, we need to update the destructible block. Is that what I want to update? Block type, expiration time. Yeah, so we'll reset the expiration time. Oh, we can use the original, we can use the existing one. Good. So the tracker already has the block. So we want to make a new one. Destructible. Actually, let's say tracker set or change signature new sig type. Okay, and then it can be smarter about that. So virtual tracker change sig type int sig type. So then we can see if the block already has that. If it didn't actually change. If block dot get block type equals sig type, then don't do nothing. Else block equals block dot change type. Normally in fact, I'm going to change this to sig block type. Boink, boink, boink. Okay. Normally we'd give it a new expiration time. For now, I don't want to reset it every time. Get expiration time. Because we want to test this and I don't want to have to wait 5 minutes every time I click on something. So we will let it expire normally. In fact, I may shorten the expiration time then we want to set it on the entity set block. Okay. And I think if this dot block is not equal to, okay, I think we want to make sure not to run. What's going to happen is we set this on the entity. That's going to set it in the entity system, which is stored in the database, and it notifies us, and we try to update it, and we're going to get this again, and we're going to set it again, and we're going to update our body cells, which is going to completely wipe out the tracker and reset all the changes we've done. I mean, it would be a way to test it right away, but it's not really what we want. And so new block not equal to block then so update body cells is only going to be based on body shape get parts at cells. Hook. Oh, I mean, it's probably okay then. But just in case we want to at some point not update the cells. Oh. It is a good chance that the physics engine has morphed the cells and replaced them. So we don't want to... Ooh. Yeah, we want to update it every time. So basically we're giving... Yeah. So the physics engine, meanwhile, is over there. It saw this component change. It's going to try to reset its cells because it saw that change. Did it, though? We didn't change the shape. We might be doing more work than we have to here. But anyway, so we changed the signature type, the block type that represents that signature. Stores the entity. And so, I mean, even if we fly away... No, so, yeah, we'd have to wait for it to expire. So, where is the script that controls? It is in here. Source main resources. Did I put it under objects? Standard tools. No, it would not be under standard tools. Where did I put it? It's not under build one. Object tool? No. Standard base objects. Chop facsimile. Oh, it's in the test objects. Test axis up here. I desperately need to make these real at some point. Oh, wait. We set it in the service. Right, because we just chop and it creates the facsimile way up here. Chop. We create the chop. Get future time 300. Okay, so decay. So if we shorten this to 30 seconds, and then yeah, eventually we're going to want to do the same thing when we update the signature. Okay, let's see what happens. Uh-oh, Pepsi's gone. Hey, I made it last an hour. Change sig type. Change sig block type. So, boys and girls, pick good method names. Save yourselves years of time in the end. Ooh, I had like 4 viewers on there for a sec. Ah, they're back again. YouTube. Hilarious. I kind of wish I could like see you guys too, like in a Zoom call. That would be kind of cool. You know, if you chose to turn your camera on, kind of thing. At this point at work, I'm like the only one who ever turns my camera on anymore. Which is funny because on my last project, whenever we'd have like conference calls or anything that everyone was using Zoom, I'd always dial in. I like wouldn't even use my computer to connect. Didn't have a webcam, didn't want a webcam. And now I'm in the new project, I'm like the only one who turns mine on. For a while there was like a push for everyone to turn theirs on during our daily stand-ups and stuff. And so people did. And then when that person who was pushing that hard left the company, it slowly like devolved until it was just two of us doing it. And then one day I didn't do it because I like had just rolled out of bed or something and my hair was all a mess. And so I'm like, okay, well today I'm just going to leave the camera off. And that person turned their camera off and they've never turned it back on. Okay, so some of these are still objects. So let's go ahead and chop them. Oh. Okay. Oh, we must have been... Yeah, so we're still chopping. Let's chop enough so that when it falls back, it has something to fall back to. Maybe should have used the axe. Okay, so it should only be around for a minute this time. I got that campfire. Okay, so it's morning, the sun is coming up. Okay, good. Hey, it did it. That one just came back and it turned into... Ah! Nice. Okay, so if we wait here long enough... So that one worked. It turned back into a regular block and it took the chopped parts into account. So let's see what happens with these. We might have to wait for a second. So how's everybody doing? I guarantee your nose doesn't itch as much as mine does. Oh, I'm falling off. Oh, there's like a little sliver of a block hanging out there. These aren't supposed to be casting shadows, but maybe I turned that back on because I was testing something, right? Because I thought I turned them off so they didn't cast shadows. Oh. That is not a drop shadow. Oh, I know what that is. That is actual... Yeah, check it out. Oh, look at that. I mean, I would have rather it didn't have the blanking period, so there's a timing issue there, but normally this wouldn't happen in front of somebody. And that's something I can work out. But look at that. It worked. Well, we checked 2 items off the box now. Neat. So that means if I start chopping it again, it will remember where we left off, right? Because it's going to turn that back into a, yeah, check it out. Ah, ha, 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 ha. So, if we come back here, I can't chop that high. Can I? Yep, I can. I can like pop up. There we go. Yeah, check it out. It chopped the partial blocks away from the partial blocks. Nice. Oh, and it turned... Oh, yeah, so it decided that when it fell back, because now it only lasts a minute, right? Or 30 seconds. Did I say 30 seconds? Yeah, 30 seconds. So look, it decided that that was chopped away enough to actually chop away. So that's cool. Nice. So now, if you were deep down in caves, you could actually chop out a carved cave. Yeah, and it would, you know, eventually Yeah, so I should be able to, yeah, chop from here because that turns solid again. And so I wonder what this one would turn into. Whoops. Yeah, I didn't really mean to chop that one again, but we could level this one out. I might have to get the axe out to do it because the axe has a longer swing. Whoops. Are we going to make it in time before it times out? Okay, let's see what this one turns into. Oh, neat. Okay. So anyway, it's doing what it's supposed to do. There's probably some tweaks in the search algorithm, but that's what it's supposed to do. And so if we come back and doink, doink, doink. So here we should be able to get it to... Okay, so that one did it. Okay, cool. Right? It figured that was the closest one that had all the open spaces. Neat. So we should be able to, though, chop this one level. Uh-oh. That's not right. That's a bug. Something got messed up with the signature on that case. Okay. Okay, there we go. We can reach in and... I wanted to see if it would flatten out to a to slabs. Oh nope, short wedge, nice. Yeah, because we'd already chopped away some of the front there. Nice. Yep, and that one. Yeah, it's doing the best it can. Yeah, so I think if we just chop one little thing out, like, I think it's not doing what I want, but we'll see. I think this should repair itself, but I think it's going to pick a smaller block because the way the algorithm's set up, it's like it tries to make sure all the empty space stays empty, I think, and so it's going to change, I believe. Fortunately, we only have to wait 30 seconds. Come on. Yeah, see. That's not right either. So there's something in the search algorithm that needs to be a little squishier than it is, but in principle, it's working and it's doing what it's supposed to do. And I think that's awesome. Wow, cool. All right, so still a ton of things to fix, though. Let us look at the list again. So we've got this, right? That's still a problem. That's definitely still a problem. That is the most annoying problem at all right now. Gotta fix that. That's more annoying because it slows the game down. Gotta fix that. Where's the one about... Maybe this is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, so you can't... That's like one of the most serious ones to me. Glancing blows remove blocks, but also dragging your swing through blocks removes tons of blocks. I think we need to while the axe is swinging, we set kinematic info on it so that when it hits, we know that was a hit. That was a hit from being swung versus just running into things. And I think what needs to happen is that as soon as we do a hit, we stop updating. When we stop at doing the animation, we stop updating that kinematic information, which means that we will no longer remove blocks. So as soon as we hit, regardless of whether we're because I discovered this last live stream, right? If I start a swing and my axe is, kind of in front of me and I just drag myself over, I can like carve out a whole line of blocks. And that's not supposed to work that way. As soon as I hit, it should stop the swing, and the swing should stop, and the basically physics should stop. So I'm no longer chopping. So these all might be related in that sense, or a lot of them related in that sense. And so now I need to relearn how the player driver stuff works. I don't think I need this debug anymore. But I do want to commit my work. How's that? Normally I don't in the live stream, but let's reset our safety nets from time to time, eh? So we really only modified one class. I do want to go back and put the so how it should work is every time we do this, we get a new future time. So I want to go back and I want to set. So let's actually make some some parameters. Private long initial expiration equals 300, so 5 minutes, right? Follow on expiration equals 60 seconds. So basically, that doesn't make any sense. I was thinking that like the first hit, when it first turns into an object, it'll stick around for 5 minutes. But it doesn't know the difference between the first hit, the second hit, or the third hit. So where's the thing? There it is. And so whenever we hit, we will do a new time. Alright, let me just make sure that compiles and I didn't screw something up. Man, I can feel a definite wave of air conditioning coming in here all of a sudden. Not sure what that's all about. Feels good though. Okay, so it compiled, so let's go ahead and what? Oh, psh. Too many commands. Too many cooks. Too many cooks. Updated so that sub-signatures work and that fallback whole block signatures work. Ta-da! Alright. Next. Right, I marked these done already. Yeah. Shoot. That's one of my favorite things to do. Mark things done. Player driver. Player. It is a work night, so I don't know if I'm going to go all the way till 10, but let's keep going for a little bit longer. I just kind of want to get this started so that it's in my head. So somewhere we have these activities, and did I set? Is there like a swing? Yeah, swing left. Activity, swing down activity. Okay, so these guys do not control when we are and aren't swinging, and that, like when we are and are not in a situation where we should be chopping things, and that's probably a mistake. Probably these need to have some control, because like I was talking about earlier, when we swing the axe forward, we should be chopping things, and when we but on the backswing, if we happen to hit something, we're not swinging it back with the same forces we're swinging it forward, and so it shouldn't chop things with the same force. So I think probably what needs to happen is that this needs to report kind of how hard you're swinging, so that because that'll change over the over the course of the swing. When you first start, you don't have the momentum that you do later on, and so need to factor that in. But let's see where we are setting the kinematic info. Yeah, I mean, if you had a perfect physics system, you wouldn't have to do all of these weird workarounds. But because it's not a perfect physics system, you end up creating sort of these, like in my case, you know, the bodies aren't floppy bodies with joints and stuff. They're really rigid forms, and the sword is rigidly attached to the player. They are part of a static mesh in a sense. It moves around, but as far as the physics engine is concerned, it's a static mesh, and so we have to simulate all of these things that if we could implement it with with real joints and springs and stuff efficiently, we wouldn't have to. And so that's why I have to set kinematic info on the swinging object. I don't remember how I do that now. So that when it hits, I know the difference between just a regular animation and a swing animation. Current activity updates. Yeah, and all this code needs to be refactored at some point. So what? Let's take. Okay, so first of all, I can take off my little red check here. Where's my little space? I was trying to make sure I didn't make any changes here by undoing, but I apparently ran all over this file when we were goofing around. Okay, so there it is. Okay, oop. So up in here, I think that's where the kinematic info is. Yes, if we find where we're messing with that, then I think, ooh, interesting. Find source dash name star.java xrx grep. So when in doubt, grep the whole code base. Attachment system does it. Context system uses it. Player driver right there. So source main Java sim. Why have two attachment systems? Oh, because I searched two separate directories, that's why. Alright, there we go. That makes more sense to me. Player Java. Player. I should have thought of a chat topic today. Does anybody have any cool summer plans? Since I have 3 concurrent viewers, I don't know if it's lying to me, but anybody do anything cool this summer? Okay, so this is only getting the kinematic info. It's not setting it. I think it's only the attachment system that sets it. Yeah. But that's not good. Hiding from the summer and gaming. Yeah, man. What I want is a game on the PlayStation, PS4, because I don't have a PS5 yet, that is like the old Rogue games. There's a ton of those on the PC. Rogue's Tale and some others. I think it's Rogue's Tale. Caves of Cud and so on. I want a game like that on the PS4, something that I can just play for a little bit, die, and then come back and start again later. And I don't want games sort of like that. I want games exactly like that. Because there's like Rogue's Legacy, which is like a side view Rogue, but I don't want like a platformer. I want the top-down dungeon crawling thing, because I'd love to get lost in gaming every now and then. And I don't have a current game I'm playing. I kind of got stuck on that free game I was talking about, where you play the little fox character. I can't remember what it's called now. But I kind of got to this one boss I couldn't get past. And so then I went back and went over the levels, and I found an item I didn't find that lets me freeze time. And then I just haven't had time to get back into it and learn how to use that effectively to get past that boss. It's a really neat game, though. I think it's very pretty. Anyway, so how does the attachment system know? So I think the attachment system is going to update the kinematic info for the parts regardless. And then the player driver, he comes along and if he gets a new contact, he's going to decide if it's a good contact or not, right? So he gets a contact with some kinematic info. Yeah. So we do actually get a chance in the Cheaper Hell on the Steam Deck. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like if I want to play. I have an 8-foot screen in my basement that I got a long time ago, projector. And so that's like just really fun to go down there, and the coolest place in the house because it's the basement, it's air conditioned. Load up the PS4 and just play something for a little bit. After I'm done watching a show or whatever, eating my dinner. And I just really want that feeling, kind of. I like action RPGs, okay. But the thing I really liked about the old Rogues was, especially the turn-based ones, is you had to think about what you were doing. Sometimes every step you had to think, do I want to walk up or do I want to walk left? Do I use this potion that I don't know now, or do I wait till I can identify it? These kind of things. Very thinking, kind of counting your arrows kind of game. More almost like not quite a puzzle, but kind of. I have one on my phone that I used to play. The Pixel Dungeon or something that was really good. But I want a big, pretty version of Pixel Dungeon, kind of. All right, anyway, so what happens is that the attachment system is basically everything you're holding in your hands. It's going to set this kinematic info. So there's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is in here, when it hits something, we can decide at that time, do we want to do something with that hit or not? And somebody... Who's doing the chopping? Is that the contact system? So I mean, maybe this is education. Yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah, chop right here. So nothing here. Yes, if the scale's 0, we don't chop. Okay. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I mean, Jupiter Hell sounds cool. I think there's a Splattercat Gaming. I've watched him play quite a few games. I covet the idea that someday my game will be far enough along that he might play mine. But I feel that way about all of the different game review YouTubers that I watch. It's like the good ones. It's like, oh man, someday maybe they'll play my game and give me lots of criticism about this problem and that problem. Oh, okay. Yeah, back in the day, remember I'm kind of an older guy. So when I first started college, it was still like very much, dial, dumb terminals and mainframes and stuff, and we used to play Rogue and NetHack on there, and it was kind of fun, instead of doing our homework. And I got the bug back then. Okay, so back to what we're doing for a second. What happens is while we're swinging an object in our hands, the attachment system is basically setting kinematic info on there because it figures out, it was over here, now it's over here, so it has this much velocity and so on, and it sets that kinematic info so that when we have collisions, we can look at that and say, okay, well, this is how fast that sword was moving this last frame. And then the contact system says, okay, so we've got one of these things was a swinging thing. It had, had some kinematic info. Oh, by the way, if something set its scale to 0, that means we ignore it. So that's sort of like an implied momentum. That's the difference between me kind of lightly swinging the sword versus like I'm really putting my muscles into it, versus it's just part of my animation. I'm not really swinging it, but it just happened to move, or I just happened to turn around. So that would be the scale. And then down here, if it has any scale, we use that to calculate, sort of all the things, the local velocity, what direction we were facing, blah, 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 blah. And then so we send all of that into the destructible object system, say chop in this location. If there's already a body there, no, we don't do that. We say this is our body. This is the one that was doing the chopping. This is what we hit. If there was something we hit, this is what we hit. This is where we hit it. This was the normal where we hit it. And this is our sort of kinematic velocity. So it's the kind of the relative velocity. If I'm striking a sword, if I'm on a boat that's moving and I'm striking the sword against the thing that's walking away from me, then that relative k velocity is going to be different, right? If we're both on the boat, we're both moving together, k velocity is just like we're standing still on the ground, but if he's walking away from me, k velocity is blah, 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 blah. You kind of get it. So the way we control, and I actually don't think we use the scale for anything else yet. We should. Yeah, so we need to eventually multiply by scale. But for now, we can control whether a hit is a hit by messing with that scale. And here we see that we actually do, so we get the contact, we know the kinematic info, and we pass that contact on, which means that the current activity, the current activity could actually be setting the scale itself. But I think what we want to do is not do that. I think we want to set the the current activity can return us, because I think that scale is going to vary over the life of the hit. So we can say double get kinematic scale. Why call it anything else but what it is, right? So eventually, at the start of my swing, I can set this to 0 and ramp it up through some point in the swing where it's full on 1. If I hit something, I immediately set it to 0. If I hit something, I immediately set it to 0. No, if I hit something, I set myself to stop. If I'm stopped, or if I'm back swinging, I set it to 0. So what happens is, as soon as I detect a hit and we get a contact, the activity says, oh, okay, I need to back up. And so it backs up, and then it starts its reverse swing to start again. And that's when we would set the kinematic scale to 0. We don't want to set it to 0 right when we hit, or we will never hit anything. So now we need to apply this to the swings. And private double kinematic scale. Started off as 0. Always put your override in, kids. I actually was one of the people who feature requested that back in, actually I wanted them to do public override. I wanted a keyword. But I requested it back in the day, like Java 1.2. Back then you could make feature requests and things. And I requested an override, and I gave good compelling reasons why that was useful. And then later that issue was closed, and it was because they added the override, the add override. I'm sure I'm not the only one who requested it, but it still feels good, right? Back in the day, the community was a little smaller. Okay, so a little smaller. It was still huge, right? But okay, so and we will come over here. Oops. No. I didn't mean to click that. I'm not being dumb, you're being dumb. You are dumb. Okay, get kinematic scale, get kinematic scale. A keyword would have been better. I kind of agree, but I get why they did it, because they were adding a whole bunch of compile annotations at the time. And so it's not actually, the compiler itself doesn't care, but there's a pass where the compiler deals with all. I get why they did it engineering wise. There's a pass during the compile where it deals with all these annotations. It's not the compiler itself. The tokenizer and the lexer and all that doesn't care about these at all. But there's a pass that'll do like a static analysis of your code, and that's what really cares. Because the compiler would have to have kind of too much knowledge in a sense, right? No, I get, yeah, because virtual lookups happen. The compiler doesn't care that this is an override. Virtual lookups happen at runtime, which is, by the way, why reflection can sometimes be faster than a direct call. Sometimes, if you cache your reflected method. Yeah, because when you look up a method using reflection and you say method invoke, there's no more virtual table lookup. You are invoking that method. It resolved it when you looked up the method, whereas in the bytecode, I don't know if this is still true, but it was true back in the day, right? The bytecode does a virtual lookup, so every time you call this public method, there's a stack operation. It pushes that on, pushes the name of this on, and then says, look up virtual method, and then it gets the method and then invokes it. Now, of course, that invoke is faster than the method invoke. I think method is final, which means it won't have a virtual lookup. At any rate, in certain kinds of benchmarking, method invoke can be as fast as a direct method call. And I think back in the day, sometimes you could make it faster. depending on the complexity of your class hierarchy and so on. Don't quote me on that. Of course, the internet has now got that statement there to last forever. All right, so now that we know, for now, just reset the time to lead in on any contact. So during lead in, time is less than 0, time equals lead in. Set current action. Swing 0. What the hell am I doing here? So yeah, so I let pitch go. Okay, so that's pitch stuff. If time is less than ramp up, then we absolutely should be setting kinematic scale to 0. Otherwise, I kind of feel like time over lead-in times pitch. So time over lead-in is, let's set kinematic info or kinematic scale to time over lead-in. So basically, as the axe raises up to where it's going to go, eventually we'll want it to be longer than that. But otherwise, so as the axe is raising up, we slowly start to raise our lead in. Otherwise, kinematic scale down here equal to 1.0. Really, we should wait and, we should base it on how far we are through the swing and blah, blah, blah. Probably in a sort of curve situation. So like, at the beginning of the swing it's low, middle swing it's high, at the end of the swing it's low, kind of thing. So we do that, and really I need to make a base class for these because they're almost identical. Kinematic scale. No, not there. Kinematic scale equals 0. Kinematic scale equals time over lead in. And kinematic scale equals 1. Okay, so that should have fixed a lot of the glancing blow problems. It should have fixed the... it actually won't have fixed the glancing blow problem. But what it will have fixed is chopping things on the backswing, and I think chopping things on the backswing and then we shouldn't be able to drag through objects anymore. Thing is, like, the backswing is not modeled. It's just part of the animation system. Well, we'll see. I didn't, I try to move it over so you can still see my face. Or so you can still see the game, and the face is always on top. Okay, come on. Let me run around. Okay, so I shouldn't be able to do except for I still can. Ha. So yeah, on that first hit, we have to set like a latch that says it's kind of funny though, right? I could just slice through the whole thing. It's like it's like really aggressive too, because you can go like I mean, that's crazy, right? Okay, so I want to see if it's recreating this stuff if I just go away and come back. Like make it disappear. It should fall back to blocks and then like, there we go. Okay, so now if I come back forward, this is still remember. Whee! That shouldn't have happened anymore. Oh, yeah, see, we chopped through there when I fell down. So yeah, cool. Remember that those are chopped. So yeah, the thing is that the swings are not fully modeled. I sort of cheat and I say so right here. So we calculate some blowback. Oh, only if time is less than 0. Time scale. Where does scale come from? Scale is 2. I don't think scale ever changes. Right. Yeah, scale never changes. Ooh, I'm just about to like pull my... Can you guys still hear me? I'm hoping I didn't just unplug my... Let me just double check that I didn't just unplug my headphones. I suppose I could check OBS. Am I still making sound? I am still making sound. Cool. And I've still got a webcam. Good, good, good. Okay. So what happens is, while we're less than lead in, we're good. But when we wrap, yeah, mic's still working. So when we hit, for now, just reset the time to lead in on any contact. And, oh, I'm an idiot. So I set up all that stuff, but I didn't actually use it. Whoops. I tell you what, though, many a debugging session would take a lot longer to have figured that out. I'd have been setting values 9 different ways, wondering why it wasn't doing anything. Then eventually put a log statement in or something. I'm pretty happy we haven't had to resort to digging through logs. Yeah, so when time equals lead in, no, see, this is still going to leave the scale at 1, so I don't think it's actually going to change anything, but at least we could control it now. And I think if we have to like temporarily hey, look at that. That's kind of cool. Alright, so let's try this again. Yep, it let me slice all the way through. Okay. Okay. But I think it's actually using my value now. Wow, we get a lot of logs. Need to clean that up. But the issue is, it's doing exactly what I told it to, in the sense that we got a contact, we set time to lead in, right? So time is sort of like the frame time, the time within the swing. If you think of, you know, let's say the swing took 5 seconds or something. You know, time is going to be 0 to 5. I think it's actually scaled to 1, maybe. But there's different periods of the swing. There's the ramp up. Yeah, so I think it is set to 1 second, right? So the ramp up is 0.1 seconds. That's just, if you clicked and you released within 0.1 seconds, it's like you didn't even swing at all. And the lead in is sort of the time it takes for your axer tool to go from the resting position to the beginning of the swing. and then after that we are basically swinging. And what happens here is when we get a hit, I set the time to the lead in, and I set the time to the lead in, so basically we're never out of the swing. We're always either at the beginning of the swing or during the swing until we hit something, and then it goes back to lead in. And I think the same thing happens when we go beyond the end. Time plus equals step. Who's making sure? So we are starting the swing. X equals time minus lead in. So basically here, this percent scale is making sure that time minus lead in times 2 is never more than scale. So we're going to loop and loop and loop and loop and loop. And so we don't know backswing, forward swing. Essentially, the backswing portion of the animation, I think, is either JMonkey Engine, we're at the forward swing and it automatically moves us to the backswing in whatever its blending time is. I don't think it's actually part of the animation. And so there's like a dead zone, and we are always setting the kinematic scale to 1. And so I think we need to set it. But that's the thing, as soon as we got a hit, we should have set it back to lead in. And so our axis shouldn't even be sitting forward anymore. Set current action swing. We set the swing. We set the time to X. And X in this case is going to be okay, so we give some blowback as much as half of scale. So if it's a 2-second animation, we go back a second. And if it's less than 0, we set the lead in, which is going to be 0.2 seconds. I don't want to load Blender to look, but I'm pretty sure that the sword is all the way back, or the axe is all the way back. The time minus lead in. Yep, time minus lead in. X equals X divided by scale, so that puts it from 0 to 1. We turn it into a curve. X times X makes it like a parabola. And then we set it. So when we hit something, if we were in the middle of our swing, right, we want to stop. And this is going to let us come back. How long is my... I think my animations are 2 seconds long. What if I... What if I let this go twice as long, and then if X is greater than scale, X equals 0, kinematic scale equals 0, else kinematic scale. What I'm trying to do is gauge whether 2 seconds is really... So I'm letting the swing take 4 seconds, and I'm thinking that after 2 seconds, it should go back to the idle state. Because I've created this 2-second dead zone, I think. We're zeroing in on something, basically. I just need to basically flesh these activities out a little better so that I have each part of the swing mapped and can make decisions about what that means. This might also let me figure out why the animation is always a little bit off from where the sword is being held. I need to figure that out as well. It could just be I bet it's the blending that JMonkey Engine does. I bet I'm always like a little behind, maybe. I tightened it up when I replaced the model view state, but okay, so what I want to see is like actual swing stuff right now. So we're swinging, yeah, okay, so 1,001. Yeah, so she, like, watch the axe flip in a weird way. Yeah, so she goes back to her idle like her 0 position, and then the thing turns up and she swings. So that's that 0.2 seconds or whatever that it takes to turn the thing up. Okay, so while it's back like that, it should not. Yeah, so it's interrupting her animation. While it's back like that, it shouldn't chop anything. Yeah, okay. Oh, except for it did. Okay, so, that's going to require a lot deeper debugging because she was fully on 0 kinematic scale. Let's get crazy. I'm just going to do this. One more thing I want to try. We're just going to blast out that we're setting this every frame, and we'll kind of like get a glance see of oops, we want to set this to just 0. Okay, so we can kind of see what the scale is doing during the different places, because and eventually maybe I should make that a debug thing that sits above the player's head for testing. But I just kind of want to see that that value ever changes. Maybe I've done something dumb. It's quite likely. We had a couple successes early on. And success breeds the chance for failure, in my experience. Used up all my good luck early in the live stream. But I'm much more confident that I'll have a release out this weekend after this live stream, though. I didn't expect to even get one thing done, so getting one thing done, being on the track of, well, I've relearned a whole bunch of stuff that let me on the track to here's something for you guys who've still hung around this long. I want to encourage taking cool photos in the game, and I'm trying to think of how best to do that. And eventually, sooner rather than later, I expect there to be, oh, that's cool, that little partial thing. Sooner rather than later, I expect there to be a art system where you can like paint your own pictures. So basically you can look at a place and it'll let you sketch over it and kind of fill in colors and stuff. But I'm trying to think of the best way for people to share that with other people. Because I, sort of, I feel like with the size of the world the way it is, it's possible that we'll build cool things and nobody will ever see them. That's one thing about Minecraft is the world was smaller. Old Mythruna, the world was smaller. You couldn't walk 5 feet without tripping over something somebody had created. And we created like a way bigger scale, and we can see a lot farther. But that means like we have to have like better ways to show off the cool things we create, or otherwise we won't feel like creating them necessarily. And so I've been thinking about that problem, if any of you guys have any ideas. But I have like a whole idea for an art system in the game where you can create your own pictures and potentially sell them to vendors and stuff. And maybe there'll be even quests around painting certain pictures with certain level of quality and so on. Certain tools, charcoal versus paint or whatever. Anyway, so let me see what we got here. We should see that K. That's right, it's only during contacts that we set it. And maybe that's the issue. Okay. So we're setting it to 1. We're setting it to 1. Basically, the debugging I added is not really what I want, because I want to see it all the time. And it's not on new contact. Although, actually, I should leave these in. And then I should take this down here, and somewhere around here, there's going to be an if activity not equal to null. And we'll set the log info kinematic scale. Because I think that this, where to go? I think this was never any different than 1. Grep. Yeah, always 1. So let's see if it's ever different. And it just could be that by the time we contact anything, because we weren't really checking in the place where I wanted to see. And the other thing is maybe if I add support for force calculations, it just works itself out. I don't know. So there's some deep dive into the physics, and maybe that's what we'll do next time, like on Friday. Presuming I don't get a chance to work on it tomorrow. I might, actually. I could live stream tomorrow. Hey, it's down to 82 degrees in here. Fahrenheit, of course. There we go. Alright, I gotta fix that to get the right textures. I had that as a stretch goal, but I think that I gotta do it. Okay, what was I doing? F5. Okay, so this is round. Yep, so it's going to 0 when we're in there. But then why am I still able to... Huh. So it was kind of dragging... Yeah, okay. So this is going to take me more of a deep dive than... But look, we got a lot done today. Look at that. That's pretty cool. You can carve out stuff like that. That's neat. So I still need to fix that. I still need to fix this, which means probably we might get choppable trees as well. As far as the look, it won't look like this, right? We'll get proper looking tree trunks chopped, which I think is going to look really cool. Because it's the same shader, right? It's all that same code that I did. And of course I got to fix this thing that I've been working on. And I got to make it so that when we're running into the things we can still chop, because right now... Oh, that's... Yeah, see, that's a problem too, right? You can just kind of start a chop and just move around. That's funny. But see, if I can't actually chop when I'm on the... But if I get the chop in the thing, I can drag myself around. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm all on the way, right? And if I don't figure it, I may add a bunch of debugging before next time, so that you guys, I talk about this stuff, but I don't think you guys may necessarily can imagine what I'm saying. And so if I can add a bunch of sort of debug information, visuals, so you can see what I'm talking about. So if like I can color the, I don't know, maybe put a little ball on the parts that are moving, show their kinematic scale, you know, so on and so forth, so we can kind of visualize it all. That would help me too, in fact. So, all right, I think this is where I'm going to wrap it up. I think we made good progress. I think it's really cool. I think it feels weird, but it's still cool. I like being able to chop through things. It's really neat. So let me go ahead and queue up the thank you card. I hope you guys have a productive, well, a couple days. I might see you tomorrow night. Might see you on Friday. We'll see you on Friday. I might see you tomorrow night too. We'll see. And we'll thank the patrons one more time. Anyway, I hope if you guys are working on something that you have a productive time. I hope the games you play are fun. Maybe you find some time to play Mythruna. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, right?